This is Dark Souls, the board game. The full board game can be played with 1 to 4 players and features exploration, equipment and treasure gathering, as well as encounters with a whole cast of monsters and creatures. What you are about to see is a demo playthrough of one of the game's various boss fights, the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Dark Souls the board game uses a node system instead of a grid system to promote character placement and tactical play. For this demo we have the dancer in the far corner to the right, and our herald and warrior in the near corner to the left. However, placement can and will vary from game to game. Each class has their own character stat card. Both characters are equipped with an Estus flask. We also have our boss stat card and our boss AI deck, which is a random 5-card draw from the dancer's base set of 10 cards, shuffled and then placed face down. You also pick one heat up card from the boss's heat up deck. Keep this devastating move to the side, as you will be adding this to the boss's AI deck once its health drops below half. This means the moveset for the boss will be different every time you play. We're assuming the last player to have moved is the herald, so he has the aggro token. The aggro token tells us which of the player characters last went and dictates who the boss character's moves will target, as the player who last went is always the target of the boss's attacks. First, it is the dancer's turn, so flip over the top card in the boss AI deck to reveal its first move. Lunge is drawn, so now we follow the direction symbol shown on the card. So in this case, the dancer moves 2 nodes towards the player with the aggro token, and then attacks the nodes in his front arc for 3 damage. Luckily, none of the characters are in the targeted area and they escape unharmed. It is now our warrior's turn, and seeing that the dancer's last attack left it weak on its right, our brave adventurer wants to move 1 node into the exposed area. This will cost him 1 stamina, which he must pay before performing the move. Now it is time to attack. First spend 1 stamina point, then look to the character's strength stat. This tells you how many dice and what coloured dice to use. In this case, the warrior will be rolling 2 blue dice. However, because he is in a weak zone, he gets an additional blue dice to roll, and whatever total number is rolled is the amount of damage dealt to the boss. The warrior is feeling brave and wants to continue attacking, so he continues to spend points of stamina to attack. A character can spend as many points of stamina as they have available. However, stamina is directly tied to health, so the more nodes moved and the more attacks performed, the more vulnerable the character is. Now that the warrior has attacked as much as he feels comfortable with, he ends his turn and receives the aggro token. It is now the dancer's turn again. So we flip over the next card in the boss AI deck, Flaming Skewer. This is a static attack, which means that it doesn't specifically target the player with aggro. Unfortunately, in this case, our aggroed player happens to be in the target area. Now we work through the move as dictated by the card. Flaming Skewer grabs any characters on its right, turns 1 node to the right, and then slams down the picked up characters to the right, causing 7 damage. This could be the end of our warrior, as his previous flurry of attacks has left him low on health. He could try and perform a strength check to try and deflect some damage. However, even if he got a perfect roll of 4 on his 2 blue dice, he would not be able to deflect enough of the 7 damage to survive. So he chooses to try and evade with a roll into another node and avoid the move altogether. He must now perform a dexterity rolling save and try and roll equal to or above the amount of damage that is about to be inflicted, using the dice indicated by the dexterity stat. In this case, our warrior must roll 7 or above on 4 blue dice, which he fails. The dancer's move connects, 7 damage is dealt to our warrior, and he dies. The aggro token will now be permanently on the herald. It is now the herald's turn, who decides to move 1 node into the dancer's new weak side and attack. He decides to make use of the temporary weakness and attacks a second time. However, learning from the mistakes of the warrior, stops and holds on to his health, ending his turn. The next card is flipped from the boss AI deck, revealing Sweeping Sword. The dancer turns to face the player, then performs his 1 node movement, which forces the herald off his node, and the player chooses any adjacent node to move to. The dancer again turns to face the player with aggro, and is about to use an attack that performs 3 damage, and pushes the character back a node. Our herald isn't very good at evading, so his best bet is to perform a strength check and try to deflect as much damage as possible. So he rolls 1 red dice as indicated by his strength stat. He rolls a 1, which reduces incoming damage by 1, so 2 damage is dealt and he is pushed back. For his next turn, the herald decides to rest and regain his stamina. A rest action must be declared and taken at the beginning of a character's turn, and no attack actions can be performed for the rest of that turn. He now spends one stamina point to move away from the boss and then another to use his Estus flask and regain his health. The dancer's turn again. Luckily, a static attack is drawn, and all nodes surrounding it are consumed in flames. Players will need to keep an eye on condition attacks in the full game. There are no weak points this time, but our herald moves in for a basic attack anyway, in an attempt to chip away at the boss's health. The next card in the boss AI deck is revealed, and it's another static attack that targets the nodes behind the dancer. The herald is lucky again. Seeing a weakness open up, the herald moves in to capitalize, performing one attack. The AI deck has reached its end. However, we do not reshuffle or change it. It is simply flipped back over and starts again. Any players who are paying attention will now know the order of the boss's incoming attacks and prepare accordingly. The herald, however, doesn't have time to prepare for the dancer's lunge. The dancer turns to face the herald and displaces him once. Turns to face, then a second time, then turns to face and performs an attack of 3 damage. The herald attempts to deflect the damage with his strength and gets lucky again. No damage is dealt. The herald remembers that Flaming Skewer is coming next, so whatever he does, he must stay clear of the boss's right side. He decides to attack once and then move 2 nodes away. Attacking and moving can be performed in any order, but when the character has moved once, he cannot move anymore after completing any other actions, as all movement must be performed at the same time. The herald's last attack took the dancer's health below halfway, so now the powerful heat up card is added to the AI deck, and the AI deck is reshuffled, changing the move order. The top card is revealed to be another lunge. The dancer moves 2 nodes towards the herald and attempts to perform an attack worth 3 damage. The herald tries to deflect, but 1 damage slips through, and he dies. What you just saw was a demo of one possible boss encounter with one possible moveset. The full game will also feature tile-based exploration that changes every game, equipment gathering, and fights with smaller monsters and creatures that have variable spawns. Dark Souls the board game has high replayability, is easy to play, but difficult to beat.